Welcome back to Bridges. We are talking today about the rules involved in surviving while being black in America. Our guests are Pastor Cedric Brock, Pastor Charles McBee, and Albert Earl Jr. If you missed the first segment, you missed some really provocative stuff, but hang in here. We've got some more really interesting things to talk about this second segment. We're talking about the family, and we, as I said, we talk about that a lot on Bridges because we talk about issues that impact this community, and as the family deteriorates, the community deteriorates. But I'm not sure that we have a plan or we know how to make it better.
Toledo's perfect because we have mentorship. That's when we can make it better. The Village 50, the pastors, the different organizations that we have out there that are doing things on a volunteer basis. We've got to get back to being a mentor even when we don't know we're a mentor. Example, I was on my way to a preaching assignment out of town on one Sunday morning. A little boy was there begging for money, and I knew him from school, being the ombudsman, and he asked me for some money. He forgot who I was, and I looked at him. I told him, pull your pants up. I told him, why are you out here? He gave me some excuse. I wouldn't accept it. Do you know, he appreciated me getting in his stuff and giving him positive direction. I didn't like I was afraid of him. We've got to quit being afraid of our communities.
Well, let's talk about some of the rules that have been suggested for survival for young black boys. I was reading an article, Time Magazine article. There's a contributing editor to that magazine called Touré, and Touré has a list of rules that he would suggest that we talk to young black folks about. Here's the first. It's possible that you could get killed today, but as he says that, he goes on to say, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Black maleness is a potentially fatal condition. You need to be proud of yourself and recognize that any ordinary situation can turn into a deadly situation. So the caution here is to say to these kids, remember that every situation you're in has the potential to be a deadly one for you. Would you agree with that?
No. Albert Earl, why don't you address that? You talked about that in the loud.
No, I think at all. One of the things we have to do is change the conversation. Mm-hmm. We need to speak life into our kids, not tell them that every situation could lead to death, because every situation doesn't.
I think what he was saying, though, was you need to recognize that as a young black man in America, you are profiled, you are expected to be doing the wrong thing, and you need to factor that into every move you make. You're saying no.
No. You can factor it in. You need to be aware, but if your every move is about building your life and doing things constructively, you avoid those pitfalls anyway. That's just the rules of nature. That's the rules.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
You think so? You think so? But I'm saying to you that
we're not going to be on defense. We're always defending who we are and what we are. Taking a more offensive approach and saying, listen, let's do some positive things. Let's go to college. Let's do the things that are positive in our lives. That's going to make life better in our community and every place else.
So how would you change that rule then for young black boys?
Be the best that you can be.
There you go.
Aim high.
There you go.
Always give it your best shot.
Okay.
Do the best you can. Be classy. I tell my daughter that all the time. But I say that to young men, be professional.
Be classy.
Yeah.
You would agree?
I agree with that, but mainly to just simply take out the when he's speaking of death, take that out. Life. Do what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go.
But
I'm not going to tell my son that being black is a death sentence to him.
That's right.
No.
That any situation is a death sentence just because he's black. Because I think he's smart enough, intelligent enough to work his way through any situation, and that's what we need to be about. Because if he already concedes, that because I'm black, I'm going to lose.
Right.
Then
Well, you give them the best example by being who you are.
What if because I'm black, there's a greater possibility that I will die?
No, we can't.
No?
We can't speak that. We have to continue to be the best example that we can be, as Pastor McBee has stated. We have to raise our children that they can be what the Lord has laid on their heart. We need to speak life, as Pastor Earl has stated.
And I was going to say, that would go totally against, even though I'm not a pastor, that would go against all three of our faith. That's saying that God can't handle things that I can't. To believe that.
Okay, but now that's a topic for a whole nother show.
So we don't want to speak that.
We don't want to speak that. All right. So y'all disagree with Touré on that one. Let's look at his rule number 2. Even if you've done nothing wrong, keep your cool. What do you think?
I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Doc. You go ahead.
I think you keep your cool, but at the same time, we have to remember who we're talking to. We kind of discussed this as well. Our kids are taught to defend themselves in certain situations, or either run. But in this day and time, to run could mean that you would be picked on for a large amount of your childhood, because people are going to presume that you fear them, or you know the words that they use.
Sure.
I don't know if it's keeping your cool or maintaining control.
Maintaining control.
And that's where I would lean toward. Teaching our children to maintain control of yourself, maintain control of the situation. Again, when you're dealing with law enforcement is taught that they must control the situation. All right, then, I yield to that authority. Yield to, because again, that's what they do. That's how they have to handle the situation. So I think him just maintaining your cool. First of all, what does that mean?
Right.
So I think
Come on, we know what that means. We know what that means, but okay, I'm not going.
Okay.
We're not going to beg that point. But I think that we are all saying that, and I would agree with each of you, that it is important to maintain your control, because so many of our kids are taught, as you were saying, that you got to man up, you got to step up, you got to really deal with the situation, and if you back down from that confrontation, then it says something negative about you. And the message really ought to be somehow to our community that you just got to use your good sense.
Right.
Sometimes you just need to.
Back off,
on
walk
balance,
away.
you just need
It's
to back
okay
up.
to walk away.
Absolutely.
We teach in the church that kind words turn away wrath. So we have to be careful and understand that our words is power.
And we say that, and again, this is a topic for a whole nother topic for another show. We say that, but then we really, by telling our kids to back up, we really do put them in a situation, as you said, that they have to live with for a very long time, because kids will bully them because they backed up, especially young black boys.
But what Pastor McBee said, also maintaining your control, you think better.
That is true.
That's the point.
So that's why we will want to teach that.
Right. Always think
Right.
about your next move. What am I going to do next?
What am I going to do next? So that one's good. We like that one. Always keep your control. All right. Let's take a look at the next one. Make allowances for the racism of others.
Make
Wait, baby.
allowances for
the racism of others.
You want to define that?
Well, let me tell you what Teray says about that. Teray says that that's part of the burden of being black. That we can be defined
Burden
and dead.
being black?
Having to allow for the racism of others is part of the burden of being black.
Okay.
We can be defiant and dead, or smart and alive. Try really hard to understand that, what you do, what you say, how you look can provoke the racism of others, and that would put you in an uncomfortable situation.
I'm not going to teach children to accept anything. I don't.
So what would you have them do? So if someone, if someone is overtly racist to a child, a teenager, how would you have them
Two wrongs
respond,
don't make a right.
Pastor?
Well, I think you'd have to. Well, first of all, if you're talking to a child, your
Let's say
example.
we talk a teenager.
Okay, teenager, and they're dealing with racism. And then, first of all, I want to tell them that they are going to have to deal with the prejudices of others throughout life. Somebody is not going to like you for whatever reason, but don't let that become your driving force or your motivating force. You have to take that and say, listen, that's their issue. That's their problem, because you need to work on around it. Learn to recognize it, learn not to react or respond to it, and move beyond it. But it's good just to be smart to be able to recognize when there is racism being portrayed toward you.
Yeah, but when recognizing and know how to deal with it in terms of when you need to engage with another adult, instead of you taking on it with, because most times teens, they're going to get angry and deal with it in the wrong way. So go to your pastor, go to your parents, go to your mentor, allow them to engage that process for you, because you may not know how to. We need to set up forums. That would be something that would be good in the community, to set up forums, especially with this situation going on, to teach our kids how to engage.
And racism
that's
is no more
so
than
tough.
just acting out of ignorance.
Yeah.
It's the lack of understanding of another culture.
I know,
another
but when
person.
somebody's in your face, it's a really tough. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
it's a
sure.
it's a super grown up response that's required that I'm not sure that many of us around this table would handle all that well either.
I didn't handle it when I was a teen, I'll be honest, but I grew to learn how to deal with it. If I would have applied what my parents taught me, I would have had better outcomes early on.
One more question, just yes or no to this one, because we're running out of time, unfortunately. We know that a lot of our kids consider the police not their friends. A lot of them do, but a lot of them don't. Teray says that if you feel profiled or threatened, that you should immediately call 911.
I agree with that.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
agree
With
with that.
that.
Yeah.
But the police are not our friends. When we were younger, some of us were raised to think that that was a career goal for a child to be a police officer. So we need to go back to teaching that to our children, that should be one of our career goals. So we need not paint in the mind that the police is our enemy, because they're not our enemy.
they're not.
They have a job to
We gotta-
protect the community.
And again, that's another spin that came through the media. That you know, because there were certain cities that was more known for police brutality than our particular community, they had a terrible history with the police.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
not the case.
I need to
in
make
every
that the
community.
last word, unfortunately. There's so much more to say on this subject. You guys are going to have to come back so we can finish this discussion. We got to go away. We'll be right back.